Hello everyone, happy Monday. I hope you are all doing well. I'm super excited today to talk to Jennifer. We're going to be talking about therapeutic art education, and it's going to be a really important conversation because this is basically our kind of conversation about how we can introduce social emotional learning into our classroom, how we can really check for trauma with our students, and how we can really make the best out of using that natural therapeutic way that art education is, and use that with our students. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Krajewski. I am a writer and content creator for the Art of Education, and I am also an elementary art teacher. So I will be going back to school this week, tomorrow, in person on a cart. Hello from Pakistan. Hello, we're so excited you are here. Do a quick mental health check-in while we are waiting for Jennifer to join the live. So if you want to just drop in maybe a word or an emoji about how you're feeling today, any and all feelings are welcome. Thank you, Jenna. My earrings are actually made from perler beads, which is insane. They're from Aaliyah over at Exalting in Beauty. You should definitely follow her and purchase some earrings because they're amazing. So I'm super excited about those. So I'm excited to see everybody here. Jennifer will be joining soon. How is everybody else doing this week? We're feeling okay. Are we back to school yet? Hello from Mexico. Super excited you are here. We're going to have a great conversation today. This is a little bit excited and hesitant. Yeah, I feel the same way. There's definitely positives that are going to be happening this week, and also some hesitation perhaps as far as like not exactly sure what to expect. A little bit nervous, but going to be good. Hi from New York. Yay! Oh, I'm excited you are all here. I want to make sure I remember. Okay, gotta make sure I get Jennifer on here. So she'll be joining us in a few minutes. 2 weeks into our school in Florida. All right, so I'm going to accept Jennifer here. She should be joining us shortly. Patience. It's the build up, the drum roll. Maybe. While we're waiting for her. Hopefully she has good internet connection. But while we're waiting, those of you that are asking about my earrings, they're from Aaliyah over at Exalting in Beauty on Instagram. She's amazing. After 20 years, I'm on a cart. What? Yep, but you know what? We are going to make it work. And there was actually a really great Art in a Cart article that came out today with a bunch of beautiful downloads about how you can have a conversation with the educator that you're pushing into the classroom for, since they're kind of like your roommate a little bit. It's definitely a good conversation to have. So we'll make sure here. I'm going to just cancel and check one more time. Let's try this one. Maybe. Good. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Much appreciated. Megan's reminding us there's some great downloads coming tomorrow too. She knows. Yay!
Yay!
Okay, we got you, Jennifer. Welcome. How are you?
Okay, I'm good. Now, if I could just get this little thing that is covering everything that says go live with the Art of Ed to go away.
I mean, we can see you, so honestly, oh, she left. She's going to come back. Guys, we got this. Technical. This is like the suspense is really what makes you just wait. So excited for Jennifer to join us. That was your sneak peek. That was your preview, your teaser. Okay, let me see if I can get her back. I appreciate everybody's mentions. Here we go. Come on, baby. In Pakistan, still in online classes. Yeah, actually a lot of friends around this area are also doing virtual lessons. In fact, I'm actually part virtual and part in person on a cart. So I understand all of the conversations. Yes, worth the wait. So definitely want to get just Jennifer back here. Let me just check to make sure how we're doing. Seeing LA is online only. We'll get her back again. Hold on a second, friends. Y'all are doing such a good job being patient. I feel like I need like the waiting Jeopardy music or something, right? Like, can anybody just type it out for me? That's a thing that exists, right? Here we go. Go live. We'll get her. Drum roll again. This is my gentle drum roll. Okay.
Oh,
Can you see us?
Yes, I can see you. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you too. You're doing great. Just don't touch anything. No.
I know. Well, first I was in my other Instagram account. So then I was like, oh, I think she wants me to be in this account. So I came into this account and then I don't know what happened, but we're
That's
all
okay.
good. Here
We got it figured out. We're happy to have you today, Jennifer. So let's dive a little bit into your role, how you are kind of invested in this topic, and tell us a little bit about your background and what you currently do with AOEU and really why you want to talk about this topic today.
Well, okay, so my background is I've been in pre-K through 12 and have been for like 20 years. And I've taught undergrad and grad, and I also have spent the last 10 years or so working in community-based arts education. And for the last 20 years, since I started graduate school, I dove like super deep into this whole idea of therapeutic art education. And I just fell in love with it. I started in my own practice as an artist. And when I was in grad school for art education, I just decided that this was just, so innate in the way that art is, and that we can just promote that and help our students recognize that aspect of it. So it's like my passion. I love it so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about you? But I know before, I want you to break down the difference between, I know a lot of people were concerned with the difference between art therapy and therapeutic art education. So you're welcome to tell us more about you too, but I want you to also just hit a little bit about what the difference between those two things are, so we can like clearly see that they are different and what makes them different.
That's super important. We are not trying to be art therapists. We're not trying to do any sort of art therapy. Art therapy is entirely different. We can do therapeutic practices without doing therapy. So an art therapist is really treating, and an art teacher is teaching. So the art therapist has a background in psychology. We're not doing psychology with our students. We're doing art, and we're going to teach them how that art can help them physiologically, socially, emotionally, all the, and like in art making, just, being able to do techniques and skills. So art therapists, they are diagnosing, they're working towards specific outcomes. Many times they're on a team. We are not doing those things. We are here to facilitate the creative process and allow our students to understand and recognize how that can be therapeutic to them.
Yes, I love that. I think that you broke it down perfectly, actually, just keeping those two words separate. So an art therapist is going to treat something, and an educator that is really interested in having therapeutic art education and kind of melding that world together is teaching your students about these kinds of practices. So I think that's a great way to break it down. That makes total sense.
There's there's a lot of overlap as well.
Yeah.
So like in art therapy and in art education, the ways that they do overlap is through play and spontaneity. We're teaching our students, as well as the therapist is helping their client learn how to express a large range of emotions. Right. And those sorts of things, and promoting a sense of community and socialization, and and they both have those physiological benefits. So there are other places where they overlap, but we want to make sure that nobody is going into the classroom saying, I'm doing art therapy.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's important to say, because sometimes there's just things that are said that feel like it's right, but really identifying and defining what that is going to be really helpful. So I think making it a specific point to say we're really just kind of doing therapeutic infused art education. We're really trying to hone in on those skills, especially incredibly important right now are those social emotional learning skills, which I know are something that we are all really going to be hitting home. I know we have a survey that came out that hundreds of art educators responded to, and they said, I think it was about 50% of teachers responded that their administration was asking that they shift their curricular focus to social emotional learning. So that is, I would say pretty confidently, is the huge focus for this school year. So this kind of ties in perfectly to that conversation about art, about therapeutic art education, and really infusing that. See, I have to catch myself too, about infusing that into your classroom. So can you tell us a little bit about why it's so important that we bring in that social emotional learning, and then what it looks like to have more of like a trauma-informed learning in our classroom and give us a little bit of background on what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome that like 50%, I mean, I wish it was more of it.
It's probably more than that, honestly. Yeah.
That means that they have good administrations who are really paying attention, because right now, like, it's not about academics. We can't go in there and just expect to jump in and, you know, move forward. Or move on, you know, like we need to move
Our baseline
forward.
Isn't the same. Yes.
Exactly. So as we do that, I think like even just the first 2 weeks of school really needs to be all about the connections, the relationships. Yes. You know, we have to welcome them into a warm, welcome environment that's aesthetically pleasing, you know, and they feel comfortable and safe, and we have to build that trust and build those relationships. Everybody's been traumatized. Lots of people have already have so much trauma from their past, and then adding this onto it, there's no reason for us to go in and expect to just jump into the academic side of things. So we really need to just really pay attention to the social and emotional aspects and that trauma. So like we can teach empathy through our, you know, just the way that we're interacting. If we have low stakes assessment, you know, like let the students do the process, let them experiment and explore. It really is, it has to be more about the process and the experimentation and exploration than trying to get to a product. And
yes.
Through that, they're going to open up, they're going to connect, you know, whether we're in person or virtual or in the classroom with masks on or just regular classrooms. That always has to be the first thing that we do, right? Like
100%. It's natural. That's what you do anyways. But it's
exactly,
like
that's how you do
incredibly
classroom management.
Yeah.
Work.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's really important to remind us of too, is just the fact that as teachers, I think we put a lot of stress on expectations and like what we want to accomplish. And it's not that we're lowering our expectations, it's that we're changing the expectations. So the focus is less on, I need to get all these things done and make sure my students are like achieving at specific level, but that they're achieving these certain things that are really important right now, which is identifying their feelings and connecting with people around them and talking about how they can solve those problems or how they can be comfortable or you know, how they can work through those feelings a little bit too. So I appreciate that. Is definitely a great kind of starting point too. And also reminding us that we always want to focus about those character traits like empathy and how you're going to kind of promote, you know, stand up for yourself and things like that too, but really focusing on that this year more than ever. So can you help us a little bit? I know you mentioned that whether we are online, whether we are in person, what that kind of might look like for our students. Can you give us a few maybe tips or tricks or examples of how we could use those 3 different modules of teaching that are happening right now to really work with like some therapeutic art education? So like, what does it look like in person? What does it look like as a hybrid? What does it look like as a, you know, a face-to-face? And help us see envision what that might be.
Yeah, totally. Well, I do think that, you know, we're art teachers, so we're really creative and we can adapt really well to different situations. So I think a lot of it is going to be very similar. No matter what's happening. I know, you know, in the classroom with a mask on, the little kids, it's going to be a lot harder to connect just through our eyes, right? So like add some flair. Like I know so many teachers are making their carts like that, you know, going crazy, making these incredibly beautiful works of art just so that they can roll in there like, hey guys, you know, we're ready.
Yep.
I'm super fun, even if you can't see my smile, you know?
Yes, exactly.
So, one thing that I think is really cool that I really thought that everybody would like, and I think it can be done in the classroom and it can be done virtually, is using a puppet, and for little kids.
Sure, of course.
Is using, and you can do all sorts of puppets. Puppets is like a great way to get in touch with, you know, learning all about feelings and socializing and collaborating and communication skills and stuff. But I'm going to show you this thing that I just think is the coolest, and because on like for kindergartners, right? Like they might not have ever met their teacher before, and all of a sudden they're in front of a screen and they need like they're going to be asked questions, right? So if they're feeling really shy and they don't know what to do, they can use this little puppet, and I just made one, like they sell them, but I made one out of pipe cleaners, and you could do it for them. They can make their own, and it's pipe cleaners and googly eyes, and if you ask them a question and they don't want to talk to you, they can tell their puppet the answer, and their puppet can tell you. So you can say, you know, and then the puppet can talk to the teacher so that the student doesn't have to, which is super fun and like a really quick little like, you know, hand project.
Can you show us again so we can see how you made it into like a ring and then just inserted the little googly eyes into it?
So yes. Whoops.
Because I've seen that happen for, you know, students that are a little bit not as much wanting to communicate, and they'll do like a whisper phone, so like kind of a fake phone that you can talk into so that your voice doesn't feel like it's quite as direct. But that's essentially what you're doing, the same type of thing, so that one-on-one communication, you're sort of like building that comfort level first, so then you can break down those barriers and know that you have a connection with that student before then trying to like ask these really intimidating or just like check-in questions.
Exactly. So, and they can paint their hand. They could add embellishments to it and like turn it into a character. My son is a kindergartner. He named his avocado, and his is green. So beautiful. It's like this.
Oh yeah.
And you just put it right in between your middle fingers. My googly eyes coming off, but like this, and then I
love it.
Talk.
And so I could see like an entire class too, just because sometimes it's hard when you have like certain kids that have something that's a little bit unique about how they want to communicate, and you want to just like potentially encourage the entire room to do it. It's like a bunch of kindergartners, either virtually or in person. They would love that.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
Shy. It's super fun, and their personality
totally
comes out through it. And you know what? Like they're like not going to do it for long. Like it's going to be good at the beginning, and then they'll just get used to talking to you and opening up. And so it's a really good way to like sort of connect and build. And not have to worry about, you know, like how am I going to connect with these kids? How are they going to connect with each other? They either, you know, they could talk to each other that way too.
Yeah, so anyway, absolutely.
A big tangent, but.
That's okay. I think that makes perfect sense. I love that example too. And I saw a couple things in the chat, kind of like the general theme of what we're teaching students, and sort of what I guess social emotional learning is to some extent, is just, I saw someone say the art of living, which is like how to be a human, how to understand your complex or not complex emotions, and how to be able to communicate that and have good relationships and understand that and normalize the fact that no matter how you feel, it's okay. And what do you do with those emotions? And I think that's something we need to remind our kids of, is that like none of this is bad. It's just a matter of like finding that path. How do we address it? What does it look like? And how can we help support each other too?
Exactly. So actually like doing art projects and stuff like that, like just, you know, those sheets that have tons and tons and tons of adjectives that you can use for different feelings, emotions, you know, instead of like, or, you know, just using happy, sad, angry, you know, whatever. Like if we can just bring those words into some of our art assignments or some of our discussions, those things, I mean, you're just bringing the social and emotional stuff right in just like that, you know?
Absolutely.
So it doesn't have to be huge, like therapeutic assignments, you know, or like, you have to do this. Like, I think offering choices is huge. I mean, teaching the artistic behavior and choice-based art education, if you're already doing that, you're already doing all of this. But that is going to be really important for, you know, for them to be able to make personally meaningful art and to connect with what they're doing, and to have it be, when it's personally meaningful, that's where the therapeutic part of it is really coming from.
Absolutely. And just kind of reminding those students that everyone is having a different experience, and though parts of it might be similar, like this kiddo sitting next to you might be feeling similar things, but they maybe don't show them in the same way, or they maybe aren't going to look the same as you as far as how their feelings are expressed. And that's okay. And how can we identify that or maybe communicate that and say, hey, when I'm feeling anxious, I kind of retreat, or when I'm feeling anxious, I'm going to be a little bit more mad and I'm going to make more noise or something like that, so that we can identify identify our students are feeling those things, and all of it is okay. So I'm seeing a couple questions in here too. I don't know if you happen to know of any like contemporary artists that you'd recommend for inspiration with social emotional. I know I was going to ask about specific like projects, so activities or exercises. So maybe if you can give us a little bit about that, that might answer that question a little bit too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do think, just off the top of my head real quick, I think because I was going to bring up nature and Andy Goldsworthy, I think really watching his work,
yes,
making work like his, you know, like, I mean, that's just calming in and of itself. You
yes,
know?
it's naturally therapeutic. Yes.
So I do have a few exercises. I mean, I could go on and on like this forever. So if anybody wants to email me at any point, I'm always happy to give suggestions. But one thing that I really love to do, and that you can do with the littles all the way through adults, I ran like a workshop with a bunch of immigration attorneys last year and did this with them, and they loved it, is drawing your breath. And it can be as simple or as huge as you want it to be. And if you sort of make it choice-based with a lot of options for different materials, you can really push it pretty far. So one of the things that you do is you're introducing the students, you know, they have a drawing material, and you kind of go through like a mindfulness breath exercise with them, but you'd use lines and shapes to show those breaths. And so you can have them understand what happens when they make zigzags. What does your breath do? Or if you breathe really fast, what kind of line does that make? And so you do this on a piece of paper, and then you have the start. You don't have a blank piece of paper anymore. So then you can go and you could like do Zen tangles, you know, which are also great mindfulness kind of thing. Mantras. So for this project that I did not too long ago, we wrote mantra. We talked about mantras. We wrote mantras on our paper. We did the breath drawing. We did some Zen tangles inside there. And then they just went like nuts, filling it in however they wanted. Some people wanted to go totally Zen tangles. Some people wanted to try every single art supply. Then, because it's like all, and you tell them this beforehand, because it's all about the process and it's internal and it might be personal to you, you can go ahead and see and just keep it at that, or you can cut it up. I'm going to grab something. Yes. And you can cut it up. So like this was like a full sheet of paper, right? Half of it was cut off. So here you can kind of see like there was some mantra stuff, some Zen tangle stuff, just awesome. You know. And then you cut it into strips, and then you can roll them and make them into paper beads. And you can put them on, I don't know if I can see
that's
that.
gorgeous.
They make individual beads. And so, you know, some people want to just like hold, like have a couple beads on a little piece of, what is that? Like chain, and have it in their pocket as a reminder, you know, oh, this was my mantra, and they can play with it. It's like, it can be fidgety. You can make it into a necklace. You can hang it from your car rear view mirror, you know, so many things. But inside those paper beads is like your emotions and your personal experience, you know, and nobody else needs to know what was on that paper. Nobody, you know. So like you can go really far with that, or you can just do it at the beginning of class to get everybody to sort of get in touch with their bodies and get grounded. I'll
stop you right there. That alone, I want to hear more, but that alone is a beautiful suggestion. I also love the fact that you're respecting the fact that it is hard to talk about, and students sometimes don't want to share all of their, you know, their feelings or their worries or their concerns, and to turn it into something functional, like a necklace or a, you know, keychain or something that they can use and feel, is making it so that it's not just like a piece of art on display, which can be beautiful in itself, but then turning it into something that they can use as an actual tool, right? So a tool for working through anxiety, and then kind of coming back to that every once in a while too. Okay, give me more.
Okay. All right. So I've got these are super fun, and like I said, like also, I mean, you might think that adults don't want to do this, but they do, and they really like it.
Everybody does.
So it can be like little kids, pre-K, all the way through the spectrum. So finger labyrinths, using beans and seeds, so you get in touch with nature, and you can talk about, I mean, you can just go nuts talking about nature stuff and everything, but the feel, so you can like talk about what labyrinths are and how they are healing in, you know, and you can go all the way into the history. There's so many things that you can do. I mean, Ana Mendieta, she's a great artist to look at for using nature stuff as well. I think she has some stuff.
Can you tell us her name? Because I know someone asked about like a social emotional artist that's contemporary. Can you tell her spell?
She's not quite contemporary because she's not alive anymore, but but Ana Mendieta, she's a brilliant female artist.
Okay. Ana Mendieta. All right, I'm excited to look her up. Okay.
So there's different ways, and I'm going to show you everything from like, let's see, you can do like, this was an adult.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, so like the process of making these is really therapeutic in and of itself. Like I teach art in children inpatient psych hospital. And so those kids, they come in, they're 5 to 18, and there's usually about 20 of them or so. And they range, you know, I have different groups. They range from 5 to 12 and then like 13 to 18. And they will come in like, ah, and then I give them this and like the whole place is silent and they're just, you know, but then afterwards, again, it gives you a tool that you made yourself where to use to go through. So this was, so like, it feels really great to go through the labyrinth afterwards, but the process of making it is really great too. So here's just beautiful examples. And so they're just different types of beans. And then just to prove that little kids can do this too, this is from a 5-year-old who, who, you know, so I mean,
I love it.
It's like, you know, fine motor skills. Hey, that's like one of the standards, right?
Absolutely. Following the line, gluing. Yes, of course. You're hitting them all.
Let's see. Another one is I really love, you know, having calm areas, like calm down areas, and ways that the students can do this. Magnetic poetry. There's a box called Healing Words.
Ooh.
And you can use that with, I bought these like super cheap little magnetic boards. And so I use those, and it's a really great way for them to like calm down, sift through words that are healing, put them together, make their own phrase, and then they can go from there. They could make, you know, a little kid could make like a 3-dimensional Play-Doh thing that represents it, or you could do drawings. You could do calligraphy. You could, you know, you can go so far with that kind of thing as well.
Yes.
So that's like a really nice tool that you can add to your calm down area, or just as a prompt. To get started. And that's like super choice based too, because anybody could go anywhere with that afterwards.
Right. Exactly. I love that you're pulling into some of the text, because sometimes it's hard to do like visual art. I feel like sometimes those kiddos that are really, they like having a subject, they like drawing an object or a thing. It's hard to say, okay, well, tell me how you were feeling this week in a picture. It's like, wait, what? That can be really hard. And of course you can do your best to explain it, but it is like a very deep conversational piece to have with any level. So kind of giving them options to say, well, we can pick some calming words, we can pick some words that might describe how you're feeling, and break it down that way is a really great way to sort of access those different kind of learners. So I love that too.
That reminded me, one of the biggest ways that we can do this is through like visual journaling and sketchbooks. You know, those like, if we create those as safe spaces for the students, then I mean their whole mind is just going to be blown by the things that they can do when they have an enclosed space that's theirs, that feels safe, where they can write, they can draw, they can test things out without feeling like everybody in the world has to see it, and they can just share if they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, and that word that I keep hearing you say is safe, which I know feels like it's obvious, right? We're a safe people, we're a safe environment, but actually saying that to students and reminding them of that is like hearing it, you say, oh, of course. Yes, I know I can go talk to my art teacher. Yes, I know I can talk to my teacher, but reminding them, we are safe, you're safe where you are, your journal is a safe place to make art, you know, kind of just continuing to hit home that rhetoric about this is a place where we're accepting and loving of all people and of all ways that you might have feelings. So I think that's a really great reminder about the fact that just saying that sometimes is enough too. And what does that look like? That's awesome. So let's talk just a little bit too about like, so you're talking about ideas for lessons. You're talking about how we're going to make sure we say therapeutic art education because we are teaching. We're not with treating, right? So how do you feel like you can encourage therapeutic art education for like really young ones, right? Like maybe we're meeting a classroom of kindergartners for the first time. Like I'm going to go in tomorrow and that's what I'm going to see. Granted, I might've seen them for like a second in 4K, but you know, it's a lot of like little young faces. Do you have any specific suggestions on how to really encourage that therapeutic art education? And as you keep saying, continuing that safe space for learning and creating?
Yeah, so, you know, it's going to look different for everybody. Everybody's going to be in different spaces. Everybody has different budgets. Everybody has different numbers of students. And some people are seeing them often, and some are seeing them not very often at all, which is hard when you're trying to create relationships when you don't see them very often. But I really do think that, you know, even with the little ones, I think that we really need to focus on play and play-based, student-directed, student-centered art education, and you know, making things like personal artwork that's meaningful to them, that can be, you know, ways to like include, like for little ones, loose parts is a really awesome way to teach them about choice and to express themselves through play and to create, you know, you can even start project-based learning that way. You know, you could get like, see where your kids are at, see what they're interested in, have them all come together. Maybe everybody wants to do a unit on space, you know, and maybe, you know, let them branch out and let them make choices, but maybe like tie it together as a class, or, you know, I really think that like the little ones need to move. So, talking about feelings and also allowing them the kinesthetics are going to be really huge, because that's going to also allow, like, they need to learn how to self-regulate, right? So we have to give them opportunities to do that, whether they're in front of the computer or they have a mask on and they're supposed to be socially distanced, and you're trying to keep 5-year-olds away from each other, and like they still need to move. We can't just make them like sit in this chair and don't go anywhere.
Absolutely.
For 15 minutes, you know, like so I think, you know, even if you're freaked out and you don't want them to get up and you don't know if you're going to get them back down because you haven't built relationships with them, and this is all really scary to everybody, you know, you can get them, they can sit and move their arms. Like, let's make shapes with our arms. Let's make lines with our arms, you know. Can you make, you know, can we do patterns between kids, you know, like those sorts of things, just to switch it up, because they need to move. They need to move.
And I feel like, so kind of piggybacking off that, we had a couple questions in the chat here about an approach for those middle and high school students. And I know you said you work with students that are in like, that are 5K all the way up till 12th grade, right? Was it? So
yeah, I taught high school for a really long time.
Yeah. So what kinds of techniques do you have? I mean, you already so many great resources for the young ones, but what can we do for those students that are like, you know, a little older, maybe might like shy away from wanting to express too much emotionally? What can we do for them?
Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to like teaching the artistic behavior and really having it be personally meaningful. Because if they are engaged in a personally meaningful way, then they're going to be deeply engaged. But specifically, like, there's, you know, you can do collaborative projects that's going to teach them, you know, a lot of communication skills, and that's really a key part in the social part of the, you know, social and emotional learning. But you, like, go outside with your class. Like, now's the perfect time to go outside and build a labyrinth at the school together, you know. Learn about it, walk through it. Then it's a space for anybody to be healing in the whole school, you know. Anybody could go out there then and do that. So you could make it really big. You can make it really small. They love doing the breath drawings. They love guided imagery. So like meditation, mindfulness, guided imagery stuff, taking them, you know, on a journey and having them write from there. I love doing the writings and the reflections. I think that that's really important, a really extremely important aspect of art education.
Yeah.
And I also, you know, I think we have to make sure that we're approaching things without judgment. So our students need to be graded and assessed on, you know, things other than the actual product, and it has to be about the process. So for high school students, when I talk about their artwork and when I have them talk about their artwork and other people's artwork, we talk about what's there and what's particularly there. And we can turn that into poetic, we can turn that into metaphors, you know, and having poetic insights that resonate, you know, between that space between art and soul. And like in between that space between art and soul is where the imagination lives. And so when we get there, then all of a sudden, like it just burst open. And the students, like, you know, we have to build those relationships with the adolescents. And that happens if you're not judging them and you're talking about the things that are there and allowing them to see that, then all of a sudden they go, oh, wow. And that's on their own. And they're getting that, that therapeutic, you know, the nature of it just comes through that way.
Yeah, it comes naturally. And I think that's, you're completely hitting home on that front too, is giving them that safe space, talking about actual issues, actual feelings, not just surface level, but really getting into like, what can we help you with? What do you need help addressing? What do you not understand? What do you understand? And really having those conversations so that our older kids can fully understand that, like, we're all here. We're all trying to figure out the art of what was it? The art of living before was what everyone kind of called it. It's like, what is it like to be a human? Go ahead.
Yeah, somebody said something about identity, and I think that that's touching on that, the big ideas and essential questions. Like those high school kids will go so far with autobiographical artwork and artwork about identity and stuff.
100%. Especially, I mean, any kid can say to some extent what makes them them, but especially those middle school kids as they're trying to figure it out, like that feels like a perfect theme for all of middle school, right? Is like identity, right? And what does that look like, and how do you investigate? I'm also saying human dignity. So like just kind of thinking of those broad themes that we can introduce to our students, or if we haven't already, give them the space and the safe way to either express it visually, or to talk about it, or to write about it, or to really be able to break those things down too. So I love that. Now I know we could chat forever. I like to try to keep the chat the conversation to like super long, but I wanted you to have a chance to share any like other projects you were thinking of, or any hints, or anything you want us to remember about. I know we didn't hit super hard on like trauma in students, but I guess that sort of is like, you know, our focus on social emotional learning is our way to try to help ease that trauma. But can you give us any more kind of insights into like getting us started with this school year, and how important that social emotional learning is?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it enough. I really think that it's about connecting with our students and where they're at, and just going from there, and remembering that we need to, you know, move forward and not, you know, backwards, or move on, you know, like it really is about growing from where we are and from where each individual student is. That's going to be the most important part. And reaching out, like that connection is so important. If you are feeling disconnected, then like right now is the time we have to be reaching out about stuff to the students and trying to connect, because that's all that's going to help them, you know.
100%, finding those connections. I will help look for some authors and books about this theme too, specifically like children's books. I am also at Art Room Glitter Fairy, so if anyone wants to follow over there, I'm actually going to be releasing my first children's book that's really about your feelings. It's called Exactly You, The Shape of Your Feelings, and it's all about like normalizing the way we feel. So that'll be a good one. It'll be coming out soon. But there are lots of really beautiful children's books that have to do with how we feel and addressing that and keeping in mind that everyone is different and everyone has their own adventure and their own path and their own story to tell. And that's what makes them so very special. I also...
Oops, sorry.
Tell me. Go
I'm
ahead.
happy, I'm over at Only When Then. And if anybody wants to connect with me through email or whatever, I have tons and tons of resources that I can share. I could talk about this for the rest of my life. So
Yes.
if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to help, with those sorts of the books, the resources, more lesson ideas, or just like bouncing ideas, because sometimes as art teachers, we don't have those same collaborative sort of experiences.
Yes, you need like the person to say, hey, I'm interested in this too. Like maybe your counselor is, but maybe they're not thinking about that. So it's really important too. So your Instagram, actually, you just put a bunch of pictures up there and I saw you had like some of the bean labyrinths and some of your beautiful mantra beads and stuff too. Yeah, so you should just go check out her Instagram. She just started, and it was Only When Then, right? At Only When Then. And people can message you there and get all sorts of information. Also, the Art of Ed, I know the writing team is working really hard to get a bunch of social emotional learning articles out, as well as continuing mindfulness, and trying to give you guys as many resources as possible to help start as strong as you can this school year. So it looks like, let's see, this is another, so they're asking about your email address if you're willing to share that.
Okay, I'll hop in there.
Okay. And then let's see, Life Doesn't Frighten Me, Maya Angelou, and G. Musquia. Yeah, so it was, another suggestion there, it looks like too. So anyways, Jennifer, thank you. Tell me. Ooh, what's the title?
The Book of Mistakes.
Yes.
Vulnerability, open it up, risk-taking. It's all like, I know a lot of teachers know the Beautiful Oops book. And that's a great way as well to open up that risk-taking and vulnerability and everything. This book's great too. And the illustrations are awesome. I think that even some older kids would like them because the illustrations are
I love it.
Advanced.
So, a little bit more complicated. Yeah, for sure. I know there's also one called What Do You Do with an Idea? So it's like thinking about what's inside your head and how are you going to make that into something that expresses what you want to share. So I love that one too. That's one of my favorite ones to start a project with, since those kiddos sometimes look at a paper and they're like, I don't know what to do, right? So it's kind of scary. But Jennifer, I know we could chat forever, but I've been like taking notes as you're talking, because I'm really excited about researching some of those artists and doing some of those social emotional learning projects with our students. We have like a built-in time in our day where our students are doing that, and our classroom teachers are leading that SEL time. But my goal is to like be a force of support for them by bringing in that tie with art as well, because it's just the most natural connection. So I'm really excited about that. Yay!
Well, have a wonderful first day of school.
Thank you, Jennifer. I know.
Yeah. Don't forget to drink water. Don't forget to breathe. Take care of yourself.
Yes, I'm going to do like my mindful meditation when I'm washing my hands, because that's going to happen like 60 times the first day, so which is good. So it'll be good. But thank you so much for talking to us, Jennifer. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I can't wait to learn more from you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so
thanks. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.